So now that Supergirl has been out for over a month, I wanted to go ahead and give my thoughts on something that I really shouldn't be giving my thoughts on until like 2 more years from now. And that's James Gunn's DCU and where I think it's going and what I would need, what I want to see from it, and how can it build up more momentum? Because right now it's in a very similar spot to where Marvel first started off, but also not because Marvel was a lot more they just had it more planned out. Here, James Gunn seems to have a plan, but it doesn't really, I don't know, it's just a weird thing that he's doing. So let's go ahead and get into it. So, starting off with the biggest thing that's kind of derailed a lot of the DCU right now and the fandom, and that is Supergirl and the box office. I, for one, really enjoyed the movie for what it was, attaching it from the comics. I had a pretty good time with it. But if you look at something like the box office, for example, it's not doing great. This movie's not gonna make a lot of money, honestly, or as much money as it probably should have made. And I think part of it is they did introduce this character into her own film way too early. We just had Superman last year. We shouldn't be doing another Kryptonian movie this year. And then next year we're doing another one with Superman 2 or Man of Tomorrow. So it's very conflicting for me because while I enjoyed the movie, I recognize that this was just not the time to do it. We really should have introduced Supergirl into her own movie first. Quite not her own movie, but like Superman sequel first, because she technically got introduced at the end of Superman 1, but putting her into her own movie this early was a huge mistake, and it's why audiences are probably going to be a little fatigued with Kryptonian stuff. And it's kind of why Man of Tomorrow is shaping up to essentially be, well, a Justice League movie, which is I'm very afraid Man of Tomorrow is making the same mistakes that BVS did. Now, I do trust James Gunn. It's still very odd to me that we're doing kind of a Justice League movie that isn't really a Justice League movie. It's technically a Superman sequel and it's a Lex Luthor movie. It's a little odd, like I said, and I'm a little worried about it because why are we bringing in all of these characters into a Superman sequel whenever we just got introduced to this version of Superman, which even in his first movie, there was too many Justice League members in it, in my opinion. That's one of my biggest flaws with that film. Now they all go into the story fine enough and naturally, but I think the universe so far is getting too James Gunn is trying to, as he said, do kind of like a Star Wars approach to this universe. Not really redo what Marvel did, like do something Star Wars adjacent. And while I understand that, and I could see that happening, it isn't really good for what's going on in this universe so far because why are we need to get introduced to these characters? And there's another big issue that's going on with DC is we're not really doing the heavy hitters right now. We did Superman, great. But now we're doing Supergirl and Clayface and a Deathstroke and Bane movie apparently. Before even get introduced to Batman or Wonder Woman or The Flash and the Lanterns TV show is another big issue because it's looking like it's shaping up to be kind of another one that's just okay. And I feel like James Gunn would have benefited by, quite frankly, just doing what Marvel did in the beginning. It would have probably helped this universe out a lot more than just coming in balls blazing, just we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna make it feel less connected. But you kind of people want that connectivity from DC. It's what made the last universe, one of the main things that made the last universe really fall apart was they just didn't have that connectivity. They didn't have that, nothing really flowed in that universe. Besides, like, after Justice League, that universe just fell apart completely. And I'm worried that the same thing's gonna happen with this because we can't really do another Batman until the Batman 2 releases with Matt Reeves, and that keeps getting delayed after delayed. And so that's frustrating for a lot of reasons, but mainly just because I really want to see that movie. But also, it holds us back from getting to DCU Batman, and we need to see these characters. Quite frankly, we do. We need to have pillars of this universe set up before we go into something crazy like a Deathstroke and Bane movie. And while I appreciate the approach to the universe of doing something like wildly different. Like, okay, we're gonna have a Superman movie, then Supergirl, then a rated R Clayface horror film. Speaking of Clayface, while I'm very excited for that movie, I do think it looks quite good. I It's another one. It wasn't the right time. This really wasn't the right time unless they do introduce Batman in that movie, which it's looking like they won't. That's just not going to happen in that film. It's just the universe itself. It started off very promising, but even from that first slate James Gunn announced, I was like, why are we doing an Amanda Waller show? Okay, fine. We're doing Paradise Lost, but not Wonder Woman. Okay. Why are we doing The Authority when we could be introducing the Teen Titans? Like, and it just feels like this universe has no real connectivity beyond what we've seen behind the camera and behind the scenes. It looks like there is no real plan here. And this is coming from somebody who is a massive fan of James Gunn, a massive fan of DC, and I really like Superman and I like Supergirl. And I'll probably like Clayface, but after Man of Tomorrow, we really got to know where this universe is heading, or else we're going to have a repeat of things because we just got confirmed that, oh, Blue Beetle's in Man of Tomorrow. And the Blue Beetle movie, I guess, is canon now, but like, why wasn't this known from the get-go? Why wasn't it just, okay, here's your starting point of movies? It goes the Suicide Squad, Blue Beetle, Superman. And that would have been probably easier for us to accept, besides the fact of, oh, wait, no, he's saying that Superman's the start, but now he's saying Superman wasn't the start of this universe. What are we doing, guys? Like, what are we doing? And it's just been this whole thing I've had with DC to where I talk about it with my friends and my coworkers, and I'm like, I'm really excited for it. And they're like, yeah, it's cool to be excited for it. Like, it definitely, but like, we like Superman, but what is this universe really? Like, what is this? And that is the biggest sentiment I've seen from people in real life and people online. And pushing aside the whole Snyder aspect of it all and those fans being the way they are and just downplaying anything coming up from DC, this is also coming from people who are fans of James Gunn. And I feel like it's easy to push off those critiques from, they're not really critiques from these people, they're just people projecting, but it's easy to push that stuff off from like Snyder fans when it's just Snyder fans. But when it's your own fans coming in being like, hey, we don't love the way DC is heading right now. Why is the Lantern show coming out and it's set in a small town? And how Jordan seems to freaking just hate Jon Stewart and they just hate each other. Why are we doing that? Like, why are we not in space for that? Or we get to something like Clayface. Why isn't Batman your villain in Clayface? Because that makes the most sense for me. And a villain origin story is the hero is the villain of every villain's story, quite frankly. So why isn't that the case? And it's just very, James Gunn is very creator driven, which is something I've noticed. And that's fine. That's okay. And that's actually it's actually needed because that's what DC messed up in the past, and that's what Marvel messes up is it's not very creator driven. No, DC, whenever it's trying to be more creator driven, it pushes off this universe that you're trying to make. And you just got to find a nice middle ground. You have to have a plan that you stick to. Say you release a Supergirl, it flops. Okay, so we're going to still stick to our plan. We don't change anything because that's what happened last time is the previous DC universe was like, oh, we're going to release a movie. Oh, wait, it did bad critically and commercially. We're going to change the entire slate of DC. And that is where they failed. And it's also not a clear jumping off point. I feel like they had a year off from the old universe and then they immediately got back into it. We needed a little bit more time, honestly. Like, Superman probably should have waited until this year to come out because at least 2 years is better than a year apart. I don't know. It's something that's confusing general audiences. It's frustrating fans and it's why you're not going to have really big movies at the box office besides your heavy hitters. And that's why you start with your heavy hitters. I've always said James Gunn's first plan for his universe should not have been all these pretty much no name characters. You should have started off with Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, Justice League. No TV shows, nothing. Just the Justice League. Just build up to that and do it organically. Because what the old universe messed up with, it was like, oh, Superman, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League. What happened to the other four members of the Justice League that we haven't even met yet, besides like little cameos? We have to build up to it. That's what made Marvel so well, is they built up to it. And even Marvel now is struggling with building up to something because every single time they try to, there's always a big hurdle. So Build up to your Justice League, build up to your characters, make us fall in love with these characters, because general audiences, they love Superman. Your fans love David Cornsweet as Superman. He won us over. Use him. Utilize that man. He's great. I don't know. So that's just my thoughts on this whole debacle. It's been a debate that's been going on since Supergirl released, and especially since we got the box office results from that movie. And I wanted to wait a couple weeks after the movie came out because I wanted to see if the box office would pick up any or if the conversation would shift. Conversation hasn't, because anytime James Gunn announces anything right now, it's always met with, "oh damn, well, that's not what we want, but okay." And that is not what this universe needs whatsoever. So I'm not a studio exec, I'm not like a big time Hollywood person. This is just my perspective as a fan because I love DC. I really truly do. DC is one of my favorite properties ever, and some of my favorite characters, some of my favorite comic book characters come from DC. I'm the biggest fan of Batman. I have a Batman tattoo. I love the guy. This is coming from a fan. You guys got to do something else, or you guys got to change up your plan a little bit. And if that requires taking a year off, do it. That's fine. But regardless, what did you guys think about this video? What do you think about James Gunn's DCU? Where do you think it's going from here? Do you Are you looking forward to his next couple movies in the universe? Because I'm looking forward to Clayface. Man of Tomorrow, I am very cautious about until I see a trailer. Besides that, tell me in the comments below what you guys think, and I will see you next time. Take care.